Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Hello and happy Devils Friday to each and every one of you. Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network and the Primetime Radio Studios, along with Ann Crew Brew. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am here with Shorts Guy as we get you set for New Jersey Devils hockey against the Buffalo Sabres. Welcome to all fans watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch. The Devils are in for a bounce-back effort after a weird tough loss on Wednesday. Shorts Guy, how we doing?
Doing great, Vinny. Back here at American Whiskey, great place to be pregame. We got Peyton and Alejandro behind the bar, and yeah, Wednesday was weird, but we're back here. It's a Friday night. I was inside on Wednesday with Beer Baron. Holy man, that second period was some of the most exciting Devils hockey I've been to live, and then the wheels fell off for period number 3. It's wild.
It is wild. And, you know, sometimes like that in a game where you're so good in a second period, you're going to slow down a little bit in the third. And that's why not starting the game on time and giving the Washington Capitals a 3-0 lead right out of the bat, that's going to happen. If you spot them a 3-0 lead and you put in all that effort to get, you know, a couple goals on the board and you're back in the game, then when things start to slow down and tighten up a little bit, if you make a mistake and give up a goal, it ends up costing you the game, which is exactly what happened in the third period for the Devils. So we've been talking about it since the beginning of the season, basically since game 1. These first periods, they're 29th in the NHL in first period goals. They're amongst the worst team in the league in the first period. I'm sure there's a couple teams that have scored less, but we're probably talking about like the San Jose Sharks and, you know, some of the other teams that have been near the bottom of the barrel. Like, it's just an issue right now. So, you know, you were in the building the first period, nasty.
Oh, yeah. No, it's without a shadow of a doubt, that first period was terrible. It's like down 3-0. Like, and we all have these high hopes for Kira Schmid, and we want him to do well. But some of those goals just didn't look really very good at all. And they looked like a whole different team when Vanacek came in for the start of the second, and there was a lot of life in the building. You know, boom, boom, boom. You know, we're back to 3-3, and then 4-3, and it's like, all right, we're feeling good. So the wheels they fell off in the first period. We put them back on in the second period, and then very quickly, it's like they only wanted to play 20 minutes of that game instead of 60 on Wednesday. And we really need them to play a full 60. We have not really yet seen this team play a full 60, it feels like. You know, maybe this past Tuesday against Montreal, maybe we can say that's the closest to a full 60. But unfortunately, I couldn't watch that game because I was playing. So, there we are. We're on the screen here at American Whiskey. Everyone can see the live podcast here. We got some Sabres fans here at the bar. It's a packed crowd on a Friday night. It's a good time here, but we want an even better time with a full 60 minutes from the Devils.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? We've talked about it on the show almost as much as talking about bad first period starts. Jack Hughes. Is he ever going to stop scoring multiple points every single game? I mean, we're getting to the point where it's like, is he the best player in the NHL? Like, I know McDavid, he's been more productive, but, like, he's hurt. They were struggling before he was hurt, the Oilers, and now here's Jack Hughes. 17 points in 6 games. I mean, we're talking about like legendary starts to a season. I mean, what did you see live in person?
He's just so good to watch in person, and we're really lucky as Devils fans to be able to see this all the time. We get to see this game in, game out with him, and we're going to see it become even better with him wanting to play with Luke. This is just going to be one of those things where, you know, this is going to be an early assessment, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. But the Capitals fans got that career seeing Ovechkin play for 41 home games a year. The Penguins have seen Lemieux and then Crosby and Yager for all those home games. We're going to get to see Jack Hughes play for the next 8 years, and if he pans out the way he's looking, it's going to be such a treat to see him play every single game here at the Prudential Center, and hopefully an additional, I don't know, at least 16 wins in the playoffs so that we can win the Cup here at the Prudential Center too. Man, it's just so nice to watch such a skilled player wear the red and black of the New Jersey Devils.
It is, and you lose a game like that after a game that Jack Hughes takes over. Nico Hischier scores a second. Timo Meyer's on the board. Toffoli has just been unreal. He's got 5 goals in his last 2 games. Just an absolute stud. He probably loves playing with Jack Hughes.
Oh, my God. How could you not? How could you not? And then selfishly, I think I got like 18.5 points in fantasy between those 2 players alone on Wednesday night. Like, holy crap. Like, that was fantastic for me, but why would you not want to play with a silky smooth player like Jack Hughes? Why would you not?
Yeah, exactly. And they ended up losing a game like that. Does it worry you that they're 3-2-1? Or like if they would have won, they'd be 4-1-1. That looks completely different. And they probably should have won. And now they're playing Buffalo, who's off to a rough start. It feels like a game like, oh, would it shock you at all if Buffalo like came out of their shell in this game? Like, no, it wouldn't. But I mean, what's your kind of whole stance on winning these games that Jack Hughes is kind of dominating in so far?
I mean, obviously, we should be winning these games that Jack Hughes is dominating because he's not going to dominate every single game. We spoke about this at least twice on Game Day Live, if not every single game. Jack is not going to play like this every single game. So not only do we have to win these games, we have to learn to win games that Jack doesn't play well. Because, shocker, here's some breaking news. It's going to happen. There are going to be games, and we saw it last year because he's human. There are going to be games that Jack is not going to focus or feature on the scoreboard. So we should be winning the games that he's dominating, but we're really going to have to win those games that he's not dominating. And then the other players like Toffoli, Bratt, Hischier, Mercer, Holtz are going to have to step up and fill those, fill that hole that Jack may not always be able to fill just because he's having an off night because he's a human being.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, he's got points in every game to start the season. He's just been absolutely unreal. He's got multiple points in every single game except one. And, it's just been an unreal start for him. It's a true treat. I do think we kind of went through this last year, even with the same teams. The Capitals beat the Devils, I think it was 6-2 last year or 6-3, and the Devils were unable to, win that game, and then they went on a heater from there. They're kind of not having that great of a showing. Now, in the previous years, a lot of the rebuilding years or the Taylor Hall years, whatever you want to call those years, they'd be great in October, right? They'd start the season 9-3-2, and then the wheels would come off halfway through November, and they'd end up in the lottery sweepstakes. And that's how you get guys like Holtz and Luke Hughes, and you win another lottery with Jack Hughes, and, you draft Simone Nemec and all this kind of stuff. It's been a little bit opposite in October the last 2 years. We think this Devils team is going to be awesome, but it would be nice to see them start kicking in a gear tonight with a home game against a pretty young, fun, when they're not playing the Devils, I love watching them, Buffalo Sabres team.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree. One of my really close friends and teammates, JJ, who's a fan of Hockey on Tap, he would listen to us, but he's a Sabres fan. He loves the Sabres, and I have nothing but high hopes for the Sabres for him. And Devin Levi is just a goaltender. He seems like he's going to be a hot young goaltender, and I want to see it. The Devils and the Sabres, to me, growing up, becoming a real big Devils fan in the mid 90s, Devils Sabres to me was that rivalry, Brodeur, Hasek. It was just that the black and red versus the blue and gold of the Sabres. It's just, to me, it's a classic Eastern Conference matchup, and I want to see that classic matchup again because. We hate the other 2 teams from New York, but we don't really hate the Sabres. We just like to see good games against them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they know what it's like to have a couple number 1 picks with Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power, and Tage Thompson's a superstar off to a slow start.
Which by the way, real quick, you mentioned Owen Power. Vinny, you like The Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm annoyed that Owen Power's parents did not name him Max. His name should be Max Power.
Max Power. If a guy named Max Power was the number 1 pick in the NHL draft, the Simpsons would have to dedicate a whole season to the Buffalo Sabres in the NHL.
That's kind of been our running joke on Hockey on Tap, is the fact that Owen Power's first name should be Max, or at least his middle name should be Max or Maxwell.
Yeah.
So we could refer to him as Max Power because that's how we refer to him when we see him on the scoreboard. I don't know who in our league has him in fantasy, but we're all annoyed that his parents didn't name him Max.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Well, we're going to be able to see Max Power tonight on the blue line for the Buffalo Sabres. It's good. And you know what? If he scores a goal tonight, Shorts guy, I know exactly who to blame. But, I mean, listen, he's a great player. I love watching Max Power play, so it's going to be fun watching the Sabres. But they're kind of in a little bit different of a boat than the Devils. Last year they had a nice showing, but they didn't make the playoffs.
Yep.
They're in the longest drought in the NHL. I think the pressure is on them tonight to come out and have a good game, but that puts an equal amount of pressure on the Devils since they're coming off a tough loss that they blew the lead against the Capitals.
Oh, absolutely. But I do see the Sabres in the same class as the Devils because it seems like it's a team that's being built the right way with a core of young players. Nothing flashy being brought in just to get butts in the seats, but they look like they're building a team that should hopefully be a really good team going forward. They seem to be that bubble team, that 7-8 wild card spot that could squeak into the playoffs. And to me, it feels like they're like a season or two behind the Devils in that building towards breaking that non-playoff streak. So they're very much in a similar class to the Devils, while at the same time, we are now definitely a head and shoulder above them. But I feel like they're going to be nipping at our heels at some point in the next season or two.
Absolutely. How would you assess the play of Timo Meier? He's been collecting assists to start the season, then he finally scores the first goal. Jack Hughes makes a pass that only like 5 or 6 guys in the league, I think, can make through the seam to find Meier on the back door, and he scores. It looks like he's starting to come along for good old number 28.
Yeah, and seeing him score in person on Wednesday was fantastic to see him on that scoreboard. Sometimes that's all a player like Timo needs to really break that, really break the dam in scoring multiple goals. But like you said, he's still been getting assists, so he's still factoring in the scoring. And the one thing I did notice last year when Timo came in, he did a lot of he did a lot of work off the puck with big hits, setting up plays that those factor into scoring. They're not like the big, you're not going on the score sheet, but you are building up to that goal, and that's just as equally as important as the goal being scored is the build up to it. So it's not like he's not there, but I also do love the fact that he's been called out recently, and it was 2 games after being called out against the Islanders, or 2 games that he finally pops one home. That's really what you want to see. He's responding to that. He could have completely sulked in those comments made about him, but he came back and scored that goal 2 days later, or 2 games later, I should say.
Absolutely, and it sounds like we're going to get, unless I'm just completely wrong, I'm pretty sure we're going to get Vitek Vanacek in net tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. Akira Schmid, not off to the best start. We kind of saw him as a top 10 NHL goalie prospect coming into this season. It just hasn't been all that good for him. Does goaltending still worry you on this team, or is it something along the lines of, no, now we know that Vitek is going to be the starter at least during the regular season. We'll see how it goes as the season progresses. That's kind of where I'm at. I'd love to know your thoughts, though.
Yeah, I'm not really worried because you said it right there in your question. He's a prospect still. Vitek was signed as our starter, and he's still on that starter contract. So Vitek is our starter. We saw a real good flash of brilliance from Schmid last year in the playoffs, and he's still learning. He's still young. If he would have played lights out in his first couple games, he'd probably be starting over Vitek. However, we got to remember he's, like you said, a prospect, and he's still learning learning in this game. It's like all of the great goalies start off as prospects and behind someone else, and eventually take over the reins once it's their time. So we could still see that, but I'm not really worried because we've seen what Akira could do, and sometimes just have a bad start to a season.
Yeah, I'm not too worried either, and we're not going to be seeing Devin Levi tonight. It is Vitek Vanacek in net for the Devils, but we are going to see Eric Comrie, who started 1 game for the New Jersey Devils in that weird year where 7 guys started. And, now the Devils.
Was not me. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
7 guys started. I should have been number 8.
They couldn't have even give you 1 call. What the heck is going on there?
1 phone call. My phone was waiting and ready to take that call from the New Jersey Devils to make my lifelong dream come true. I guess I still have to wait.
Yep, they just choose to ignore you, Shorts guy. It is what it is.
It is.
Now that they have, two guys that they trust in, I think a little more than anyone they would have used that season. I think they might have used Akira Schmidt in 1 or 2 games that year too. Vitek was still certainly very much on the Washington Capitals
Yep.
at that point in time. But, Eric Comrie, the Devils are going to face him. But guess what? Look what happens when you overlook a goalie and think you might just win because you're the New Jersey Devils. This kid, Shepard, comes in for the Washington Capitals. He's got the most
fantastic.
He's got the most epic picture in NHL history. You know how each player has like their profile picture almost when they show the stats? It's the most epic picture. He's got like his hairy chest sticking out. It was awesome. I loved seeing that, and his family's in town. He gets his first career win. You put 4 past him, it's not good enough. You can't just overlook a guy like Eric Comrie in tonight's game.
No, not at all. And all these guys are in the NHL for a reason because they're the best of the best. There's 32 starting jobs and 32 backup jobs in the league. So it's that 64 jobs that you're vying for. And if you're one of 64 out of millions of goaltenders in the world, you're good. So all these guys are NHL capable and NHL ready. So you cannot look past anyone. And it's, the Devils know Comrie, so with all hope, fingers crossed, that they have a little bit of insight on what they can do against him. And I'm sure the Sabres are also playing Comrie because he has a little bit of insight on some of the shooters on the Devils because he faced them quite a bit in practice, I'm sure. So it's one of those situations where we just hopefully have the advantage in putting it past him versus him having the advantage of making the stops.
100%. We saw some line changes. Alexander Holtz going down to the 4th line, moving a couple guys up. But the defense stays exactly the same, and that's probably more or less been what the issue actually was over the last handful of games. Brendan Smith, not off to the greatest start. I'm a little surprised that he's in the lineup. Are they going to call up? I know Colin Miller's injured, but, is it really too soon to call up Simon Nemec? I'm not too sure, what the thought process is there. Once they call him up, do they never want to send him down again? Because that can, ruin confidence or whatever. I wouldn't be shocked if that was their mind of thinking. But, between the lines and the D pairs, what's your thoughts on that?
So, as far as the D, I want to say that that's something we definitely have to work through. And if they call Nemec up to sit in the press box, I don't like that move. If you're going to call up Nemec, you want him in the lineup because that's the only way you're going to get better is you're going to be playing. If he's not going to get any time up here, I'd rather him stay down in Utica versus coming up just to sit in the box. But Brendan Smith, we kind of joked about it preseason on the Big Show. What are we going to see Brendan Smith just take penalties? And that's what we've seen. We have not been impressed with Brendan Smith. I think a lot of us were really kind of shocked when it was, Nemec went down and, we've got Brendan Smith constantly. They must see something in practice with Brendan Smith that they want to keep putting him in a lineup. But at some point, enough's enough, and they're going to have to make a change on defense. And that I think we knew coming into the season, though, that our defensive core was very young. So some of there was going to be mistakes on the defensive side of the game. Now,
absolutely,
these guys are professionals, so they have to figure this out. Otherwise, the team is going to, A, bring players up and move players down, or B, make a move to bring someone in that can do the job if no one else wants to do the job right.
100%. Now you take on a team like the Buffalo Sabres. You hope the defense all works out. I'm with you. I wish Brendan Smith probably wasn't a guy playing every single day, but when you lose Severson and Graves, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. And you know what? A lot of people predicted that to start the season. That doesn't mean the Devils stink. It doesn't mean they're not going to be a threat once the playoffs roll around, but it's not surprising that there are some kinks to get out early in the season. So hopefully they're able to get a huge win tonight here against the Buffalo Sabres. Really quick, before we get into predictions and all of that, I really am starting to like what I'm seeing from the captain, and we've touched on him on every show. We don't touch on every single player on every single show, but we've been talking about the captain, Nico Hischier, lately. He's really starting to look like himself again in terms of his offensive production.
Yeah, it was yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I just want to see this team win. That's all I'm going to say with that. I just want to see this team win and become consistent in winning again. We saw what this team did last year, and we came off a loss in the playoffs. That was our last game in the playoffs, but we just want to see this team do well. That's the big thing.
Yep, and a guy like Heischer, a guy like Hughes doing stuff in both ends
Yeah.
of the ice to make sure that gets done. Those guys are going to be the guys leading the way, and just win. Shorts guys got it perfectly for you. So as we get towards the end of our show here, I want everybody to go in the chat right now.
Let's hear it.
And put in your predictions right now. I want as many as possible. I'll read off as many as possible. Unless you pick the frickin' Sabres, then I'm not reading yours. I'm just kidding. I would.
We've had that before.
No.
And you've read it before. You've read it before.
You know what? I've done one season where the Devils were this is my third year on Game Day Live. And the first season, the Devils were so bad, and they came in second place for the draft lottery. That's how bad they were.
Yep.
And I did one season where we had they had 112 points, the most ever in franchise history.
Yep.
And we did how many Game Day Lives in the playoffs? What's 5 plus 12 Game Day Lives in the playoffs? So we've seen it all here on this show, and I'm not gonna say that I've never read aloud a couple loss predictions or given a couple loss predictions early in the season. Only Sam Wu could come up with winning 10 games in a row, though, and that actually happening.
Yeah,
and speaking of Sam
I
Wu,
know.
we have his prediction from him in our text message right now. It's conservative tonight.
Very conservative.
Very conservative for Sam Wu. We will get to that in a minute. Put yours in the chat. Shorts guy, what is going to happen tonight in the New Jersey Devils game versus the Buffalo Sabres?
Oh, man. the City of Wings. The City of Wings, Buffalo, New York. All right, so I'm really hoping for I'm going to say a 4-1 Devils victory. Vitek making at least one massive save to propel this team forward. Tyler, Jack, Nico, and Jesper score goals.
Wow.
Oddly specific, and I'm sure I'm going to be wrong, but what the hell?
Hey, that's why it's called a prediction.
Exactly.
That's why it's called a prediction. Okay, so I'll go first before we reveal our Sam Wu prediction of the day.
Score.
Conservative score. Someone very prominent in the Let's Go Devils YouTube chat put the exact same score as Sam Wu, which is very interesting. Somebody who is awesome that we want to see agreeing with us. I'm going to say that the Devils are going to win this game by a score of 4-3. So 4-3 is my prediction. Shorts guy's just getting absolutely hugged by his
I'm
dear
getting manhandled
friend.
by Kevin. Sam's in the background. Sam's in the background.
Sam's-
I was getting some good Sam War stories.
I got
There you
Sam Wu
go.
stories from back in the day.
Not for the pod.
No, not for the pod. Not for the pod.
Oh,
Not
that's
for the
Kevin
pod
of
one
American
bit.
Whiskey for you.
Love that. Congrats, Kevin. Love the shirt, Kevin. Kevin's American Whiskey shirt is unreal. I need to get me one of those next time I'm in town.
All right, we'll figure
There are a lot
that
of
out.
things I need to get.
We'll figure it out.
Next time in town. But yeah, 4-3 is my prediction. 4-3 is my prediction. The great Sam Wu and the great Ramona Rice agree on the 3-2
Wow.
Devils victory.
3-2. I'll take.
They
listen,
both
I'll
picked
take
the
any
same
win.
thing.
I'll take any win.
Oh, absolutely. I would take 1-0 in a shootout. Nobody
gosh,
gets a
yeah.
goal. Yeah,
Although-
100%.
Although let's not forget, back in what was that 95 when Brodeur would collect every single shutout puck that he got, and him and Hasek shared a dual shutout back in the tie days, and they cut a puck in half because they both got the shutout.
That's
that-
awesome. I love that.
Those are the great stories from the 90s.
Yes. Stuff like that just probably wouldn't happen anymore, even though I'm pretty sure both goalies, at least they do in fantasy hockey. I don't know if I never really looked in real life, not fantasy hockey, but both goalies get a shutout in fantasy hockey if it goes to a shootout 0-0.
Okay.
So very interesting there. But yeah, we'll read a couple predictions in the chat.
All right, let's hear
Obviously, Joseph says 4-2 Devils. Ramona says 3-2 Devils. Selecta says 4-2 Devils. And can the Devils score first, please? I'm sick of having to come from behind.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They
That's what
are-
everyone wants. Everyone wants a Devils goal first.
Over in every game scoring first. And the Capitals were too, but something's got to give when two teams are over scoring first. It was the Capitals. And
Yep.
Oleg says 3-1 Devils. Just about it for the predictions that came in. So, kind of a slow Friday night. Everybody's out enjoying the Devils game at the Rock tonight, I assume. So very excited to see all these predictions. Looks like a good turnout there.
Yeah, we got a really good crowd here at American Whiskey. I know. Right behind me, there's a little bit of an open spot. The bar is full. The street's full. That's a good thing, though. But and that's why the bar may look a little bit thin tonight, because it's beautiful weather out here in New Jersey. The street is full, and we've got people outside enjoying the weather. Late October weather, in the 70s and 80s today. This is what dreams are made of: is being able to enjoy Devils hockey like this, outside in the streets, and just have a damn good time here at a Devils game. And these are the good days, everyone. Let's enjoy it while we have it, because we lived through hell. We lived through hell, and now we're back.
Absolutely, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. There's some really good hockey coming up here between the New Jersey Devils and the Buffalo Sabres. I'm so looking forward to kind of seeing who's who and how the Sabres look against this fast Devils team. Can the Devils kind of hold against the Sabres tonight after a tough loss? And I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope everybody tunes in tonight after the game, where Scotty of SiriusXM will be hosting Devils After Dark with you. Go find Shorts Guy at the game. Don't make fun of him too much. His hair's no longer red, which is less cool, way less cool. Your hair's way cooler when it's red. And go have yourself a beer at American Whiskey. And go ahead.
I got to say, it'll be a different color come this winter, because the kids that I teach are all picking a color this year, and red is not in the running since it was last year. So it'll be an odd color this year. It won't be Devil's red.
As long as it's not New York Ranger blue, I think we're okay.
Well, if it's blue, it's blue. That's the kid's choice this year.
Yeah, okay. Well, if it's blue, we'll spin it.
It would be Mets blue. It would be Mets blue, not Ranger blue.
I'm cool with that. No. None of this Ranger blue nonsense. And everybody watching all over the platforms, we thank you very much. And again, make sure you tune in tonight. Devils After Dark. Scotty of SiriusXM breaking on the game that was. And as the great Sam Wu always says to close out a show, let's go Devils.